Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237 and yet another, I guess, extreme horror film. Not one of the most extreme, but it's written and directed by Ryan Nicholson, who also did Gutterballs, which I'm not a fan of. And this film I'm not the biggest fan of, and that is Live Feed from 2006. I've heard about this film a while ago, just picked it up today with the Poughkeepsie tapes. And I could say I liked it more than Gutterballs. It was more watchable, even though it is essentially well, can't really say complete ripoff because it came out 2006, the same year as Hostel. It's the same fucking thing as Hostel. It really is. This is going to be a short review because there's not going to be a whole lot to talk about. You have a group of 5 friends. I believe they're in Japan. The language they speak is Cantonese. Even Wikipedia just says, while on vacation in a foreign city. They go into this one place that's like, because you have 2 couples and this other chick, this really promiscuous girl. They're going around, they're like at a bar, and then they go to this place. I believe it's like a porno theater, but with private rooms, like bathroom stalls with porn all over the stalls. And it's run by some sort of Yakuza or something similar. It's hostile. This big guy goes in the room, tortures them, and the gang leader watches on TV. And they have to pay to get in. So, okay, group of friends, you go into this place that you have to pay to get into. They go there for some sort of sexual pleasure, which in Hostel, the place they actually get tortured isn't for sexual pleasure, but that's why they're there. One by one, they're tortured. One guy makes it out and goes back in to save someone, ends up surviving. It's not as disappointing as Hostel. I already did have very high hopes for this film because it's another Ryan Nicholson film. His other films I'm not in a huge hurry to check out. Torched, Hanger, I think there's 1 or 2 other ones. He did pass away recently. That is sad. He passed away of cancer. I'm just not the biggest fan of his films. I could say I did like it more than Gutterballs. The characters were more likable. It actually had dialogue that you could actually, listen to. It doesn't sound like Rob Zombie bumped up to 11. Some of the torture was kind of unique. It was different, but like most of these other films in this grouping that I've been doing, you really only watch it for the gore and the torture. Yeah, it does have a bit more of a story, more than, say, Grotesque, but I could even say Grotesque was a better movie than this. Because the characters, even though they're more watchable, they're still pretty insufferable. The one character, I think it's Emily, who is a Japanese girl. So they don't really torture her. Either they think she's with them or whatever. I don't know. The writing wasn't very strong either. And the torture is pretty rapid and quick. It takes, doesn't even say how long this movie is. Okay, 81 minutes. Like Hostel, it takes a while for it to actually get going. The only other character is we have this subplot of while the gang leader is at this other bar, or the strip club. He has this guy tied up to the stripper pole and he's being beaten. He knows he's a cop and he's been watching him and his exploits, trying to get him to talk, and he won't. So he tortures him slowly to death with little handheld torches. So his younger brother is another character that the group of friends meet. He knows what's going on in the building. He's the one that goes in trying to save people. He's the one that convinces the one guy that gets out to go back in and help him save people. But basically, like, the torture starts, the private room this one couple's in. He pretty much gets, like, I think like an arm cut off, then his head's cut off. Like gutter balls, it's just geysers spraying blood. The girl, she gets this long tube shoved down her throat, and then like a snake put in. And then when this big guy slashes her stomach with a sword, the snake comes out. The blonde girl gets tied up naked and stabbed through her tit. I'll say the practical effects look fine. They do. And pretty much you have the cop's younger brother and the one guy that got out who fucked up his ankle somehow going back in trying to get everyone out. This did come with a making of. I didn't even look at the features for whatever reason. I guess I thought there wasn't any. I didn't even look at the back of this. Womb Service, the movie within the movie. Oh. Yeah, because if it's what I think it is, when they go into the private room, there's a porno playing for them. He calls it room service. If it's just that, I don't need to watch it. Eventually, the Emily girl tries to get out, and there's some old Whitey Bulger, like, he looks like Whitey Bulger. He's got the white beard, he's got the safari hat, almost, the tropical shirt. He brings her to the crime boss, but for whatever reason, the crime boss is pissed and kills him. This guy sees and gets pissed, because I guess it's his dad. He drags the crime boss in there. And this, like, every little stab, there's just a fire hose of blood. The most interesting death was he puts this, like, metal thing on the crime boss's head. Like this box, these two plates that are, like, held together. With this long handle. And he just kind of walks with it, which turns his head slowly. And you hear the cracks and the pops. And eventually the head pops right off. No blood, which I thought was kind of weird. Also, like Hostel, we do see a part like where all the bodies and the parts are brought to like this kitchen. They fry up the first guy, they fry up his dick. They try feeding it to the Emily girl who's locked herself in this other room. She takes a little bite out of it. I don't know if this was a joke. There's purple lights in the room, but you can tell it kind of looks like a chicken tender. And you can tell this is dick. She takes like a little bite out of it. You can see his white meat inside. Which the movie opens up. The opening scene is... It's like this outside vendor, like a cooking vendor. It has this little dog, this Yorkie, I think it is. He kills it in front of them. Of course, all the people in the area don't seem to give a shit. The tourists are pissed, and the dog's still whimpering. You don't see anything, but you hear it. Then the guy hits it again. Actually, one of their friends do, to put it out of its misery. Of course, they all flip out because the dog was killed. I was just like, okay, that's a great way to start a film. And, you know, you have him with the sword going through, killing all the associates of the crime boss. And it's bloody, but there's really not much to this movie, and the whole live feed aspect is barely touched upon. I mean, you do get a couple scenes with the crime boss watching the TV with the torture that's going on. But really, the torture is a very small part because it's the tourists going to all these sex places, having sex, and then it's kind of like the rescue at the end. Very much like Hostel, which I had higher hopes for Hostel because I was a big fan of Saw 1 and 2 before it. Saw 2 came out the same year. Nope. Saw 3 came out the same. I was already a Saw fan by the time Hostel came out. And Hostel I thought was going to be this big torture film, and there's really not much to Hostel. I'm not a fan of it. I reviewed the first one. It's a rant. This pretty much follows the same beats as Hostel, as I explained. The acting is poor. The script and the dialogue, there's not much to it. It is easier to watch than Gutterballs as far as the dialogue goes. I mean, the practical effects are fun. Got tons of blood and gore. I mean, literal fire hydrants of blood over every little wound, except for when the head pops off. And, yeah, the whole live feed. Because I found out about this film the same time I found out about Snuff 102. But then I kind of forgot about it. And then I thought of it again, like, just recently. I was like, oh, I'll pick that up when I get the Poughkeepsie tapes. But, yeah, just nothing to write home about. Even if you're a fan of torture films, there's not much to it. Like I said, the 81 minutes, you get a few minutes of torture, and it's mostly all the bullshit around it. Like, even though grotesque is literally nothing, it's nothing of a movie except for the torture. I'd rather watch that than this. I thought this was a pretty poor movie. And again, with these kind of extreme films, are you really expecting anything that good? Well, sometimes. I mean, I thought Sallow was a good movie. That even had some artistic merits, I thought. I'll even give credit to Serbian film for being a better movie than this. Inside, Martyrs. I don't love Martyrs as much as everyone else, but Martyrs. Inside, much better film. High Tension, much better film. Even the more extreme ones. Snuff 102, I thought was way better than this. Yeah, it's way more intense, way more graphic, but even just as a movie, as disjointed as it is, yeah, I'm not a fan of this movie at all. So, that's 2 movies by Ryan Nicholson that I'm not a fan of. Probably not going to seek out the rest of his films anytime soon, but I'm sure he has a fan base. May he rest in peace, but yeah, that's live feed, not a fan. Thank you for watching.